Hey y'all, welcome back to Dirt Road Sessions. Tonight's conversation cuts a little deeper than most. It's going to be one about knowing your role in this world. Um, it seems like everybody these days wants their name up in lights and wants to be the headline, the hero, the one that gets the applause. Um, but where I come from down here in the South, the real strength always belonged to the folks who worked quiet and steady and did all that without needing their glory spelled out all on a marquee. And it made me think a little bit about John the Baptist and how he didn't chase the spotlight. He didn't try to be the star of the story. He just did the job he was called to do, and because of that and his faithfulness, he found himself one day standing in the river baptizing Jesus Christ himself. So tonight's talk is about that kind of humility, that kind of purpose, the kind the world often overlooks but heaven never does. So settle in and grab a cup of coffee, do whatever, and let's talk about what this really means to know your role. So there's a quiet kind of wisdom in knowing your place in the story. Folks don't talk about it much anymore. These days, everybody wants their name up in lights, shining so bright it blinds the people standing beside them. They want the marquee, the headline, the applause. They want to be seen. But the older I get, the more I understand that some of the strongest souls were never chasing center stage. They were steady hands in the background doing the work that mattered long before anyone ever thought to clap for them. A man who knows his role doesn't fuss or fret. He just stands where he's supposed to stand, and he lets the truth speak louder than his ego. John the Baptist was that kind of man, a wild-looking fellow by any southern measure, living out in the rough, eating what the land gave him, preaching with dust on his feet and with fire in his voice. He wasn't the kind who needed his name carved above a theater door, wasn't waiting on some spotlight to bless his calling. He just wanted to prepare the way, to clear the path, and open the door for something greater than himself. And because he knew his role, because he didn't push or claw for more, he was given one of the greatest honors a man could ever hold. He baptized Jesus himself, and not because he demanded it, not because he campaigned for it, but because humility has a way of drawing heaven close. Sometimes I wonder what would happen if we lived more like that, quiet in our purpose, strong in our calling, trusting that the big picture is bigger than our own pride. You see it in the South if you look close enough. The old farmer who fixes everyone's fence but never charges. The church lady who cooks casseroles without signing her name on the foil. The father who works 2 jobs so his boy can chase a dream he never had to reach for. They aren't looking for applauses. They're just doing what they believe they were put here to do. There's a peace in that, a steadiness. When you let go of the need to be the headline, you find yourself becoming part of the story in a truer, deeper way. Knowing your role doesn't make you small, it makes you honest. And in that honesty, in that humble acceptance of place, you often find something far greater than fame. You find purpose. You find grace. You find the quiet dignity of a life well lived, shining in a way no marquee ever could. And maybe that's the part we forget in all our chasing. How a life can glow without ever being flashy. How a man can leave fingerprints on eternity without ever stepping onto the stage. You see, down here we learn early that the brightest lights often burn out rather quickly, but a steady lantern will guide you home in the darkest stretch of road. John the Baptist understood that. He stood waist deep in a river, water swirling around his knees, the sun setting low behind him. He wasn't performing, he wasn't posing. He was just doing the work, faithful, steadfast, unbothered by whether the crowd saw him as the main event or just the man holding open the gate. And when Jesus came to him, and when heaven stepped into that muddy water, John didn't puff up. He didn't make speeches. He simply bowed to the moment he'd been preparing for his whole life. That's what happens when you know your role. You don't miss the miracle because you're too busy looking for your name in the credits. I think about that whenever I feel the tug to be more, to be bigger, to be noticed. Some of the most important people in my life were never famous and never praised, never spotlighted. They were the quiet influences, the ones who taught me how to carry burdens without complaint, how to pray without announcing it, how to love without keeping score. Maybe the world doesn't value that kind of greatness the way it used to, but God does. And the South still recognizes that too, in the worn hands of folks who show up early, stay late, and do the job nobody else thinks about. Knowing your role isn't about shrinking, it's about standing exactly where you're meant to be, with your feet firm in the truth and your heart pointed towards something higher. And if you hold on to that line long enough, you'll find that your life becomes a much bigger story, one that doesn't need lights or a marquee to shine. I hope you like that, and I hope it touched you. I hope it meant something to you, especially in today's day and age, where it seems like everybody's just out there trying to make themselves bigger than life. So if you enjoyed that, I'd appreciate it if you go to the YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, Dirt Road Sessions, and maybe give it a like and subscribe and help me continue to tell stories to reach people. Thanks a lot. Have a blessed day. Bye.